Once upon a time, in the heart of Umuagu, there lived two brothers who were as different as day and night. Chidi, the eldest, was like the steady Iroko tree, strong and reliable. Ifeanyi, the younger one, was like a wandering wind, charming but impossible to catch. It happened that Ifeanyi fell madly in love with a beautiful maiden named Amara. Their love was the talk of the village. They were always seen together, whispering promises under the moonlight. The boy's family loved Amara dearly, and even the eldest brother, Chidi, was always very friendly and kind to her. He treated her with a respect that Ifeanyi often forgot to show. As the months passed, the bond between Ifeanyi and Amara grew deeper until she discovered she was pregnant. When the news reached their families, there was no anger, only a plan. Both families met and agreed that the right thing to do was to pay the bride price and perform the traditional wedding immediately. The date was fixed, the invitations were sent, and the entire village began to prepare for a grand feast. But the heart of a coward is a dark place. Very early on the morning of the wedding, while the roosters were still greeting the sun, Ifeanyi called Amara on the phone. His voice was cold and distant. He told her that he was not ready for the life of a husband or a father. He told her he was leaving the village to travel far across the seas. Amara's heart shattered. She cried out, "But Ifeanyi, you know I am pregnant. What do you want me to do?" Ifeanyi's reply was a knife to her soul. He told her to get rid of the pregnancy. A 3-month-old life that she already knew was a set of twins. Before she could scream, the line went dead. Amara did not sit down to mourn. She wiped her eyes, tied her wrapper firmly, and slipped out of her house. Back at her father's compound, the air was filled with the smell of cooking fires. The DJ was already setting up his speakers, and the women were singing wedding songs. They did not notice the bride fleeing through the back gate. She took the first bus to Ifeanyi's family house. When she arrived, she found a scene of total confusion. Ifeanyi's parents were standing in the middle of their compound, looking at their son with terrified and confused eyes. They were begging him to stay, but the boy was adamant. He said he was not ready for all this and that he had a life to live in the white man's land. Amara walked into the circle and looked him in the face. "You swore to love me all the days of my life," she whispered. Ifeanyi just shrugged his shoulders, picked up his bags, and walked away, leaving her standing there in the dust. Amara collapsed into a chair, sobbing uncontrollably. Mama Chidi rushed to her, holding her and begging her to stay calm for the sake of the babies in her womb. The shame was heavy in the air. Papa Chidi knew that if the wedding was cancelled, their family name would be ruined forever. He looked at his first son, Chidi, who had been watching the tragedy in silence. The parents called Chidi into a private room. They begged him with tears in their eyes. They asked him to stand in for his brother. They asked him to marry Amara that very day so she would not be shamed and the children would have a father's name. Chidi was shocked and angry. "Why must I always clean up my brother's mess?" he asked. "Whenever he does something wrong, you ask me to cover it. Is it fair?" He is the one who got her pregnant. Let him face it. But the parent knelt before him. They told him that if he didn't do this, Amara would be an outcast and their reputation would rot. After much pleading, Chidi looked at Amara's broken face and his heart melted. He agreed to the sacrifice. The families met in secret just hours before the event. They told Amara's father what had happened. They pointed out that Chidi looked very much like Ifeanyi, and since Ifeanyi lived in the city, many distant relatives wouldn't even know the difference. Amara was asked if she would accept Chidi. She looked at the man who had always been kind to her, the man who was willing to save her life. And she said yes. The drums began to beat. The guests arrived. Chidi wore the wedding clothes and walked out as the groom. The village cheered and the palm wine flowed. No one knew the secret. Chidi became the father to children who were not biologically his. As the years passed, something strange happened. Because Chidi was a good man, he learned to love Amara with all his heart. Because Amara saw his goodness, she learned to love him back. They lived as husband and wife, and their home was filled with peace. There was no news of Ifeanyi. He had vanished into the world. But one evening, many years later, as the twins were growing into young men, a strange car pulled into the village. A man with cold eyes and expensive clothes stepped out. Ifeanyi had returned, and he was not coming back to apologize. He was coming back to claim what he thought was still his. As the sun set behind the hills of Umuagu, the man standing by the strange car adjusted his glasses. It was indeed Ifeanyi. He looked at the large, beautiful house Chidi had built and the flourishing farmland surrounding it. He did not feel shame. He only felt bitter greed. He had spent his years chasing shadows in foreign lands, and now that he was back, he wanted the life his brother had built from his realms. He watched from the shadows as the twins, the very sons he had once ordered to be destroyed, returned from their school, tall and strong, laughing with Chidi. Ifeanyi's heart darkened. He did not know that the seeds of his own destruction had already been sown, and that the justice of the land was patient. But what would happen when Amara saw the ghost of her past? What would the twins do when they discovered the man they called father was not the one who gave them life? And how far would Ifeanyi go to take back a throne he never sat upon? If this story of betrayal and sacrifice touched your heart, please like and share it with those who believe that blood is thicker than water. What would you do if you were Chidi? Would you have married your brother's pregnant girlfriend to save your family's name, or would you have let the truth come out? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss part 2, where the hidden truth comes to light, and Ifeanyi finally meets the sons he tried to erase, not in a home, but in a place of judgment. Justice may sleep, but it never dies. See you in the next part.